Hello there, Vinyl fam. My name is Cody Brockway, and you are tuned in to CB's Fun with Vinyl. The last episode was an episode about the Grateful Dead stuff, and, it's got a lot of views and stuff on it now, so for that I thank you, and, because of you guys, I am able to make another video. So for this video, we are going to signal in on my favorite band in the land with many different faces. They are called Genesis. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna say that I do have an entire wardrobe that is just jam-packed full of Genesis stuff. I got all the CD box sets, 2007 remasters, the original CD masters from 1994, DVDs, other box sets, solo member box sets, solo member albums, lots and lots of cool stuff, and one day we can get into all that stuff. But specifically right now we're going to single in on the actual albums released by Genesis on vinyl only. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is the very first Genesis album on 4 different LPs. So the original album is called From Genesis to Revelation. And a lot of these different pressings of it have different titles, even though it's the same music and same album. So we're going to sing on this one, From Genesis to Revelation. This is an issue from the Netherlands. This is an import. And it has Peter Gabriel wearing the flower head, which he wouldn't actually wear on stage for another couple albums. We're going to get into that. And then here we have one that's called Genesis with Peter Gabriel, which is From Genesis to Revelation. That's the same songs, and it's another picture. Actually, it's the exact same picture, except for zoomed out. So it's Peter Gabriel with the flower head, and then Mike Rutherford over here playing the bass, which he does very well. We love Mike Rutherford. Then this one is called The Silent Sun, which is, From Genesis to Revelation again. Rock Roots, From Genesis to Revelation again. Very cool. Very cool. Then we've got an album that's called Trespass. And this would be their last with original guitarist Anthony Phillips. This is home to the Genesis classics Stagnation and The Knife. The Knife would become a popular Genesis concert staple for years to come. They may have even played this in the 80s a few times too. But yeah, it's a great tune, cool album. So when it opens up, so it's like a thing that somebody stuck a knife through. That's the song, The Knife. Nice artwork on the inside too. Very nice. And it is also on the Pink Famous Charisma label, which is fairly hard to find here in Canada. Okay, so this is where Genesis were really starting to find their footing here. Anthony Phillips had left the band, and before this they had a number of different drummers in the lineup. But this is where they started to secure their members, their sound. They started to find a lot of stuff on this album. This one is called Nursery Crime. This came out in 1971. This is home to the classics, The Musical Box, The Fountain of Salmachus, or Salmacis, however you say it. This is a really, really great album. This is a classic, and just in every way. This is an original press too. Yeah, very, very cool. Love this record. And then we're going to go on to another favorite Genesis album of mine. They're all my favorites. I love them all. So this one is from 1972. This one's called Foxtrot. And I love this record. I love it enough to have Steve Hackett sign it for me there when I met him. I've met him and seen him in concert 5 times each. And this is one of the rare Charisma pressings, and it's a gatefold too. So there's pictures of the band along the bottom here, if you can see that. Anyway, this is a classic record. This has Supper's Ready on it. This has got Supper's Ready. It closes with that, and it opens with Watcher of the Skies. And this is just a masterpiece album in every way, shape, and form. But I'm gonna move on to another pressing of it here, which this one was a bit of a Weird situation when I got it. So I got it and I brought it home. I put on Watcher of the Skies, side 1, listen to the whole side. Then I put on side 2, and it was side 1 over again. And it's like, what? So this was a misprint. This was a misprint, and it's side 1 printed like musically on both sides. So very cool, very cool. This is a 2008 Nick Davis remaster of the album. Really cool, worth having in the collection for sure. We'll talk more about the Nick Davis stuff soon. So this is my favorite Genesis album. This is Selling England by the Pound, and that is Steve Hackett's signature up there. Man, this, like, even the artwork, look at that. It's just so awesome. This has got let's listen to classics on this. It's got Dancing with the Moonlit Night, I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe, Firth the Fifth, More Fool Me, and that's just side 1. Then there's songs like The Battle of Epping Forest, After the Ordeal, The Cinema Show, and Isle of Plenty. We actually went to see Steve Hackett twice last year when concerts were still happening. Actually, it was a year ago tonight that we were there. A year ago tonight that we were there seeing him perform this album in its entirety. He was doing 2 nights at the Oakville Centre here in Ontario. And he performed this album both nights, and it was just awesome, just cover to cover, the whole thing, and a bunch of his solo stuff too. He's a really awesome guy. Love him very much. Thank you, Steve, and the Genesis fam for what you guys do. Okay, so then this is Genesis Live. So this was the first Genesis Live album, and it's only got 5 tracks on it. It's got Watcher of the Skies, Get 'Em Up by Friday, the Return of the Giant Hogweed, Musical Box, and The Knife, of course. This was taken from the Black Show, which I did see the tribute band, who is actually here, like, from here in Canada. They're called the Musical Box, and I saw them do this tour. It's really cool. This is on the Pink Charisma label too. Awesome, very good, very, very cool. Great performance by the band on here. Awesome. And this would have actually been one of the first times that my dad saw Genesis. He saw them at Massey Hall, November 8th, maybe, 1973. Cool. Both my parents saw Genesis, and both my parents are the best people in the world. And this was the conclusion of Peter Gabriel with the band. A lot of people feel that this is their best album. The guys in Genesis may not be the biggest fans of this record, but I'm a big fan of this record. I love this album. This is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. This is from 1975. This is the album that kind of, there's so much stuff going on in Peter Gabriel's life. When this tour finished, he said, I'm out, guys. Sorry. Love y'all. I'm out. This is a double LP. This has got so much great stuff on it. It's a concept album that tells the story of a character named Rail. And he goes through lots of bits and changes and all that throughout this album. So we open with The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. We go through a whole bunch of cool stuff like Fly on a Windshield, Broadway Melody of 74, Cuckoo Cocoon, In the Cage, Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging. Then we make it all the way over to Carpet Crawlers, which is a classic, of course. The Chamber of 32 Doors, Lily White Lilith, Colony of Slippermen, Anyway, Riding the Scree, and then we end it all with It. Of course, there's a lot of songs and instrumental bits interspersed between there, but I did not read everything off. Yeah, this is a great album. I actually have the poster for it up on my wall over here. I'll put some B-roll in there so you can have a look at my poster there. So that is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And here's a couple of bootlegs. So this is a sealed bootleg from the Lamb tour. So this one was Odd Man Out, the 1975 British tour. And this is Genesis as Though Emerald City, the 1975 American tour, live at the Shrine Auditorium. So this is where they do a whole bunch of stuff from the Lamb and then other albums as well. Love that band. And I don't generally collect a lot of bootlegs, but the chance has arisen for me to get some Genesis bootlegs in the last couple years of me loving the band, so might as well, right? Okay. So as we discussed, Peter Gabriel left the band after that tour, which left them as Phil Collins, Steve Hackett, Tony Banks, and Michael Rutherford. Now, the band were really unsure if they were going to go on at all without Peter Gabriel. So Steve Hackett opted to start recording some solo music while he still stayed in the band. He put out an album called The Voyage of the Acolyte. It had Mike Rutherford and Phil Collins on it. It was referred to by many as the Lost Genesis album, and it's really just a great record. But I'm not gonna pull that one out here right now. That's for another time. He did stay with the band for 2 more albums, and this was one of them. This one is called Trick of the Tail. I love this album. Of course, it is signed by him as well. Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, so yes, so this is home to many cool tunes like Dance on a Volcano, Entangled, Squonk, Madman Moon, Robbery, Assault and Battery, Ripples, A Trick of the Tail, and Los Endos. What a classic record. I love this. They're just, oh, wow. If this album probably could not be too much better. This is just a great record. It really showed that Phil could, really work as the lead singer. You get a drink here, sorry. And he still played drums for them at the time. Of course, live they had to hire Chester Thompson from the Mothers of Invention. That's not exactly a bad choice because, well, Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa, big fan, love him. And Chester is a monstrous drummer. And then oftentimes during the live shows, like what you hear right here, Chester and Phil would go into the instrumental bits and stuff, and they'd play the drums together. That's absolutely phenomenal. So then they had one more album, where a couple of Hackett's songs kind of got left off of this one, and he kind of decided, well, maybe I will just do my solo thing. I'll leave the band and do my solo thing, and that worked out well for him because he's been packing places ever since then. He's put out about 30 solo albums. So there we go. This is the last one with Hackett. This one is called Wind and Wuthering. This is another great record. This has got One for the Vine, which is written by Tony Banks. And it's got all that cool instrumental stuff at the end with Steve and Tony doubling on songs like In That Quiet Earth and Into Afterglow. I really love this record. I saw Steve play most of this record in 2017 when he celebrated the 40th anniversary of it. Big fan. Love this album. Okay, so here we're going to touch on some really cool stuff here. This is a promotional copy of the second Genesis live album called Seconds Out. This is one of my favorite records of all time, as most of these albums are. But yeah, this is just awesome. You got Squonk, The Carpet Crawl, Robbery, Assault and Battery, Firth the Fifth, I Know What I Like. Then you have the closing section of the musical box. Side 3 is Supper's Ready in its entirety. And Cinema Show, Dance on a Volcano, Los Endos. You even get Lamb Lies Down on Broadway here. This is just a really, really cool record. And it's a gatefold. Lots of cool pictures of the band and stuff inside. Oh, there's Chester there. There's Chester. Hi, Chester. But yeah, this is a classic. Oh, and this is the promotional sticker back here. Then, this one will be the Japanese pressing I have of this album. See, if you look down here, it says printed in Japan, if you can see that. You may not be able to see it, but very cool, very cool. And look at the label. Love it. Love it. And this one is a regular Canadian press, but it is signed by Steve Hackett himself, if you can see that there. Lots of Hackett signed albums here. And this has a couple of the songs that were rejected by the band from the album Wind and Wuthering. Songs that Steve wrote that felt that he wanted on the album, but they didn't want it on the album. So what they did was they put it out on a 12-inch release here. So it's called Spot the Pigeon. You can also get it on a 45 as well. So yeah, Spot the Pigeon you can get on a 45, but you can also get it on blue vinyl, which is pretty cool. It's only 3 songs. It is Match of the Day, Pigeons, and Inside and Out. And this is cool stuff here, man. But then, of course, as I had mentioned, Steve went and left the band. So that left him down to a 3-piece. So then they naturally recorded an album called And Then There Were 3, this is a cool album. I like this album. This is the album where Mike Rutherford had actually written a charting hit for the band. So the first song is called Down and Out. Then we go into other cool stuff like Undertow, Ballad of Big, Deep in the Mother Lode, Many Too Many, Scenes from a Night's Dream, all that cool stuff. But we end with the song that was the big hit. It's called Follow You, Follow Me. It's a really great song. This saw Genesis start to creep up on the Billboard charts and stuff. That was a big radio hit, that song. It's great. This album is another one of my favorite Genesis albums. This one's called Duke. This is just the trio lineup of Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford, and Tony Banks. This actually had a hit song written by Phil this time. It was called Misunderstanding. And we got stuff like Behind the Lines, Duchess, Misunderstanding, Man of Our Times, Heat Haze, Turn It On Again, which was another hit for the band, Cul-de-sac, and we end it with Duke's Travels and Duke's End, and the band are just playing in top form on this album. And tracks like Duke's Travels and Duke's End, it's drummer's heaven. It really, really is. Very adjusting. There we go. And then we're gonna move into some wonky, but still, I'm not gonna say it's really wonky, but it's definitely a different step away from Duke, and they're kind of going further into where they're gonna go now in their library, so to say. It's a great album. I love this album, and it came in a whole bunch of different covers. It's called Abbacap, and the title track was a hit song, and of course, Man in the Corner was a minor hit. No Reply at All was a big hit. Me and Sarah Jane, Dodo Lurker, another record, Keep It Dark, Whodunit. I really like this album. So this is another big turning point album in the Genesis canon. I love this. I'm going to show you some more pressings of this. So this is a recent remaster, from 2018, of the album, and it sounds really good. This would be a Nick Davis thing. And of course, there's a picture of the 3 of them on the inside. Really cool. Love this photo of the band. I really love this album. Awesome. And then, so a few years ago, I was lucky enough to have a friend who had sent me all of the Abbacap covers. There's no albums in these ones, but it's all of the different color combinations of the album Abbacap, which is really cool. And this one here is just the regular standard one. This has an album in it too. I love this record. Future Cody here. We are going to actually discuss really quickly the 2007 remaster box of 1976-1982. This is all the vinyl sets. These are all really nicely packaged and remastered by Nick Davis. In the albums here, we've got Wind and Wuthering, And Then There Were 3, Trick of the Tail, Duke, and Abbacap, and everything is nicely replicated. And these are really great. This is all pressed on heavyweight vinyl, and the cool original label's intact. Thank you very much. I'll let you get back to the video now. Okay, so then we're going to touch on some really cool live stuff again. So this is the third of 5 Genesis live albums. Of course, 2 of them I do not have on vinyl. They came later in the, like the 90s and 2000s, so to say. So this one is called Genesis 3 Sides Live. And it's really cool. This has got so much great stuff. It's really such a diverse mix of tunes on here. We open the album with Turn It On Again into Dodo, Abbacap, Behind the Lines, Duchess, Me and Sarah Jane, Follow You, Follow Me, Misunderstanding. Then we do the In the Cage medley, which you could probably hear over there, which, does the entire 8-9 minutes of In the Cage. Then it goes into the medley of The Cinema Show, then The Colony of Slippermen, and then they seg that stuff into Afterglow, which is really, really incredible. And then you can probably hear my dog barking upstairs. My apologies. Then we go for One for the Vine. So this is the original UK track listing of this album, where the 4th side was more live material, as to where the next one that I'm about to show you is the American track listing, so my side of the world, basically. And it is a couple of songs that were left off of the Duke and Abbacap albums. Anyway, so this one is the UK track listing, and it's got One for the Vine, Fountain of Salmachus or Salmacis, and then It/Watcher of the Skies. This is really great. Some of those tracks were taken from the 1976 tour with Steve Hackett still in the band. This album also saw Daryl Sturmer take over some guitar and bass parts with the band live, and, well, outcome is really great. I love this album. This one is the American track listing that I was just mentioning to you about. So on this one, instead of the extra live stuff, you get Paperlate, which is, it's all right. I like You Might Recall a lot better. Me and Virgil, Evidence of Autumn, and Open Door. This is pretty cool. So that stuff was taken from the Duke and Abbacap sessions. Then we're going to go into some 1983 goodness here. This one is just self-titled. It's called Genesis, or you can call it the Shapes album or the Mama album or whatever you want, but it's just technically called Genesis. So this was different from everything that came before it. This is a really great album too. We open the album with the haunting Mama. Then we got a song that was a big hit single for the band. It's called That's All. We got Home by the Sea and Second Home by the Sea, which is kind of a nod to the progressive roots of the band. And then we got a silly, fun song called Illegal Alien, which opens up side 2. Taking It All Too Hard, Just a Job to Do, Silver Rainbow, It's Gonna Get Better. And these are all really nice songs. I happen to love all of these songs. Anyways, yeah, so this is the Shapes or the Mama album or the Genesis album. Okay, and then we're going to go into their biggest selling album, which sold about 6 million copies in the States alone, Invisible Touch. So this record had a lot of hits on it. So it had Invisible Touch, Land of Confusion, In Too Deep, Throwing It All Away. Those were 4 of the 5 big hits. The next one that I'm going to mention to you actually is also a big hit as well, but it was shortened, right? So on the album it's almost 9 minutes, but we got a single edit version on the radio. It's called Tonight, Tonight, Tonight. Then we have some other cool album tracks. We got Anything She Does, Domino, and The Brazilian. More nods to their progressive roots. They never really kind of forgot where they came from. They were always kind of, even though some stuff changed, not everything changed, and it was all good regardless. So I always liked Genesis albums. The outcome was always really good. Not big on calling all stations, though. Some of it's okay. Then we're gonna kind of come to the end of the line here. As to, Phil Collins did a tour with this band after they recorded this album, and then he left the band. So this one is called We Cant Dance. This was kind of the goodbye to Phil's presence in the studio albums of Genesis. This is a really great record, and actually this pressing particularly is hard to find. I got this years ago before they had remastered it and reissued it, so now you can get the album anywhere, but back when I got this, you certainly could not. I actually got this before I even opened my store, which was Second Chance Records here in Caledonia, Ontario, Canada. So we open the track. I should also note that this is also a Virgin Records. This is a UK pressing, Virgin Records label. Really cool. So we open the album with No Son of Mine, which is a favorite. Jesus, He Knows Me, Driving the Last Spike, I Can't Dance, Never a Time, Dreaming While You Sleep, Tell Me Why. Lots of great stuff. And then we bring it to a close with Fading Lights, which is kind of a song that Tony wrote as he kind of considered that Phil would be leaving the band probably after this album, and he was actually right. Even though nobody technically knew it at the time, Phil had not said anything about leaving, but Tony just kind of assumed that this might be his last hurrah in the Genesis canon here. So this is a really great record, and quite frankly, all of these studio albums, if you have not heard them, definitely go check them out. We're not totally done yet, though, even though this is the last Genesis album of the studio stuff that I have. I've got some other cool 12-inch singles here to show you, and then we will wrap it up. All right, so this one is the single for Keep It Dark, with the B-side being Namina Nu, which was an instrumental written during the Abbacap sessions, and then there's the long version of Abbacap on here too. Really cool. Keep it dark. Down, 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 down. Really hard to find this stuff here, but Genesis fans do it. And this is the Blue Charisma label, so you can tell it's from the early 80s because that's when Charisma had that blue colored label. Then this one is the Invisible Touch extended version with Invisible Touch and the Last Domino. So what the Last Domino is there's two parts of the song called Domino, which was on the Invisible Touch album. The first part is called In the Glow of the Night, and the second part was called The Last Domino. And the Last Domino, they play together on the album, but specifically The Last Domino was taken and put onto the B-side of Invisible Touch. Very cool, very cool. And this one is particularly really awesome. This one is a German pressing of That's All. So this is a 12-inch single. And so That's All, of course, is from the Cookie Cutter Shapes Mama album, whatever, Genesis album. But on the B-side of it, you actually get a performance of Firth the Fifth, which is really hard to find, and most Genesis fans probably have not even heard this version. It was recorded live at the Savoy in New York, 1981. So that means it was recorded on the Abbacap tour. And that's really, really awesome. And that version of it is really cool, by the way. So if you can check this out, it's the Genesis 12-inch single for That's All with Firth the Fifth, recorded live at the Savoy, New York, 81. Yeah, and then, okay, so here we go. This is the Land of Confusion 12-inch, where we kind of have the Beatlemania / with the Beatles thing going on here, except for their faces are made the way they were in the video for Land of Confusion. And there was a TV show that like made people's faces and stuff like this at the time. Can't remember what it's called, but one of you guys can let me know in the comments. There we go, if you remember. So there's the extended version of Land of Confusion, which is all of side 1 of this. And then side 2 is an unreleased track, which actually I feel could have been released on the album Invisible Touch because this song is so good. It is called Feeding the Fire. It's a pretty heavy Genesis track, and it's just a really awesome, awesome tune. Why ever they left it off the album, beyond me. But anyway, and then after Feeding the Fire, you get the regular album version of Land of Confusion. Really cool. Love this band. And then last but not least, this is a UK issue of, well, this is on Vertigo Records, so there you go. This is No Reply at All. And this has a phone on the hook over here and off the hook. So one side is No Reply at All, and the other side is the instrumental that they wrote during the Abbacap sessions called Nemi Nanu. This is really, really hard to find, and it's really, really cool to have. And quite frankly, I'm glad I have all this stuff in my collection, because I am such a fan. I love this band very much. And okay, I'm going to show you a couple of 45s here. So this one is for Tell Me Why, which was a song from Cant Dance. It came out in 1993. This 45 came out in 1993. So the side A is Tell Me Why, and the B side is Dreaming While You Sleep, live. A live version of that. Really, really cool to have this on 45. And this is on the gray Charisma label. No, not Charisma, sorry. This is on the gray Virgin Records label. Really awesome. Really cool. And then last but not least, we have Genesis 3x3 on a picture disc 45. This is really sweet. Yeah, so this is the songs that made it onto the American version of Three Sides Live. So on one side you get Paper Late, you might recall, and then this isn't all the songs, this is just a few of them. So Paper Late, you might recall. Then on the other side you get Me and For Jill. So this is what one of the sides looks like, and this is what the other looks like. And this is a 45. It is really cool. And this is on Charisma Records too. Okay, so I've shown you pretty much everything in my vinyl collection of Genesis themselves. Next Genesis video we can single in on maybe some of the solo stuff or maybe some of the CD box sets. I digress. I've been collecting this band for a lot of years now. I've been a big fan for a long time. And yeah, so I'm just maybe I've turned somebody else onto their music now, or maybe you guys are already familiar with the band's work, and maybe you agree with me and what I've said about these albums. Maybe some of you don't. Either way, let's discuss. Let's leave some comments here, and yeah, I hope you guys all have a blessed rest of your evening. Thank you very much for watching. You've had a good time here with CB's Fun with Vinyl. Have a good night, Vinyl fam.